Hello, I'm Chrissy.
And I'm Caroline, and we're interior designers. More and more people are asking us about what we do and how we do it.
Which brings us to our new design adventure, the Design Duet. Join us as we discuss the ins and outs and the ups and downs of interior design.
Good afternoon and welcome, Chrissy.
Caroline, how are you today?
Very well, thank you.
Good.
Today we have something really special happening. We're going to have an interior designer sitting with us.
Woohoo!
And I'd like to introduce her. Her name's Melissa Balzan. She's a beautiful, kind, gorgeous friend of mine and Chrissy's.
How are you today?
Very well. Thank you for inviting me to be part of this very exciting chapter in your lives.
Thank you so much for coming.
So I'll introduce Melissa as a budding interior designer. She's had a wealth of knowledge and she's had over 10 years experience actually. And she enjoys and loves textiles. She loves looking for new product. She loves feeling new product. She loves implementing new product. And she does amazing, incredible work all around our country. And she brings a lot to the table. So I'd say that she's probably one of my favourite interior designers here. And her company brings a big array of skill sets, and she's a very professional person, and it comes and shines through in all her work and in all that she does.
Well said. Melissa, tell us a little bit about yourself, about you and your life before we start talking about design.
Well, I've known Caroline obviously for a very long time. We started together when I was working in fabrics, which is a passion of mine, working at Boyac when it was in Hawthorne under the ownership of Humbert de Lombilly, who's now in Paris, in France, living in France somewhere. And it was wonderful. It was a wonderful time in my life. I had just finished studying at RMIT, which is where I was trained. I'm very fortunate to have done that course at that period of time, a long time ago.
Not that long.
No, really, a long time ago. So Boyac was great, and it was nice to meet Caroline and so many wonderful people in the industry. And the industry was very different then.
Yeah.
I think it was definitely much more of a focus on interior decorating and true decorating, where people used lots of fabrics and layered things and made everything in the room, from the curtains for a bedroom, for example, from the curtains to the bedspread to the volants to cushions to upholstery of walls even. Whereas now it's a bit different.
Absolutely.
How is it different?
Well, I think there is it's much more design orientated. That's definitely about texture still, like lovely textures, lovely finishes. It's just not as much fabric. But I suppose it depends on who your clients are and what the jobs are and what you're doing. And you can definitely have rooms where there's lots and lots of fabric and rooms where there's less.
I think we digressed a little bit.
Yeah, sorry.
We wanted to hear about your life.
So starting off in the industry, I started at Boyac, which is wonderful, after graduating from RMIT. And then I worked for a designer called Adelaide Bragg, who's a good friend of mine. And I'm so grateful to have worked for Adelaide for a number of years and have her as a mentor and a friend and just a beautiful person to have. And then I started my business 10 years ago now, which is very exciting. And it's been a journey. Yeah. Exciting journey. It's wonderful. I love it. I love this industry. I'm very, very blessed to work in this industry.
That's lovely to hear. And so why did you become an interior designer then?
Well, I think I became a designer by default. I wanted to do fashion design, and I was really interested in fashion design. I only wanted to go to RMIT, and I had all these things that I wanted to do, and I didn't make it into the first round offers, and I got into interior design and decoration at RMIT, which was a lovely, beautiful course.
Yeah.
But and I did it and I enjoyed it and I loved it more and more the further along the course I got.
Mm-hmm.
And then I felt like it was meant to be. It was just where I was supposed to, an area that I was supposed to get into. And through luck, I suppose. I have been fortunate enough to work with beautiful companies, incredible companies. Boyac and Adelaide Bragg and Associates are well known within the industry and have such incredible pedigree that then when it evolved and I decided to start my own company, my own business, it just happened. And I think I've got all this knowledge behind me, 10 years plus, 15 years plus before starting my own business. It was a nice background to have, and I'm glad I'm not in any other industry.
That's so lovely.
Cute.
But I
Yeah.
will say with that, when you said the word luck to me, I don't think you were lucky. I think they were lucky to have you.
That's very kind of you. But I think you sometimes you've just got to trust in the universe that you end up in situations or positions or you meet the right people at the right time and you are fortunate enough to have the opportunity to work for them or with them or be part of their businesses. And I was very fortunate.
Great.
Melissa, what would you say your personal style was?
Well, I think it took a while to develop. I think with fabrics, especially somewhere like Boyac where they had a huge range. I mean, I worked for Boyac over 20 years ago now. So they had very different fabrics to what they have now and it was much more decorative. So I think it took you see everything and you fall in love with so many things and I was young. I was in my 20s, my early 20s when I started working there. And I felt like my style was just evolving. I would say I have a very classic aesthetic and I feel it's quite a little bit more layered and textured and probably contemporary, but definitely still classic. I think I like a very classic, livable, easy design aesthetic.
And does this come through into your jobs?
I hope so. Yeah, but I'm very client-centric. So I don't say I only use a particular colour palette. I work with lots of colours and I really kind of hone in on my brief with my client. I work very, very closely with my clients to make sure I'm achieving the home that they want, not the space that I want to give them.
Yeah, perfect.
And obviously there's lots of my own personal influences in there, but I do work very closely with clients. And I think they all have, I think even my work has evolved, I feel, and now it's probably going a little bit more contemporary for me, like cleaner lines. Even then I think they're still quite classic in their overall feel.
Yeah, so that probably leads me on to the next question. How do you think interior design and interior designers have changed over the years?
Well, I think when I started in the industry, and I think you'll agree with me, Caroline, decorators decorated.
Correct.
And interior designers back then were interior architects.
Exactly.
And there was a little bit of a segregation and they definitely did the building work. They were they're still incredibly clever. But I feel like the decorators of today are now stylists.
Yes.
And I feel like interior designers do everything, decorating and the interior architecture and the space planning and the joinery and everything, which I actually love. I love all everything that encompasses. But I think and then the stylists of today, I think they do the decorating. They add the finishing touches where decorators used to do that a long time ago.
Would you say designers of today are more business minded?
100%. Well, you have to be. It's a business. It's not a hobby. We all run businesses. We love what we do and we're fortunate we work in areas and fields that we love, but it's still a business.
It's
not
cushions all day.
No.
You're sitting at a desk most of the time.
Most of the time, half
Doing
of it is admin.
Yeah. Boring.
Like 80% of our work is admin. The rest is the pretty stuff,
That's
which
right.
can be quite tedious. Yeah, absolutely.
Which leads me to, what is your favourite part of the job?
I really like dealing with clients and finding resolutions to problems in particular. I love sourcing. That's the best bit. And even like the problems, when I say dealing with problems or it could be working out the best joinery layout or kitchen layout for a client. It's still a problem. You need to solve it. I think that they're my favourite. My least favourite would probably have to be admin, like everyone, and you can only offload or delegate so much of it. There's always a component you have to do. But
Doing your best statement.
Oh, there's that.
Boring.
But not just that. There's also an estimate.
That's
At
right.
the end of the day, an estimate's still paperwork.
And they're
It's-
very involved.
Oh, absolutely. And I find, that's still design work
right.
because you are putting the details into the estimate. You are thinking if that sofa is going to be contrast pipe, that's where you're going to put those details. That's
right.
when you tell your client what you're doing.
Another one I was going to ask you about is how do you charge, Melissa, for your jobs?
Well, I charge by the hour.
Mm-hmm.
So I have an hourly rate, and the different people that work in my office have a different rate. And I often, when I first meet with a client, I meet with them, we talk about the project, and I then prepare a scope of work which covers every element that they would like me to work on, and I give them a rough indication as to how many hours it would take to achieve those, basically a design concept. And then the implementation of that is then in addition, site visits and things like that. You can't.
Yeah.
Well, I don't estimate them because they all vary, and I, like I said, I like to be quite hands on. So for some jobs, I might go to site every day for a week.
Yes.
And they might be varying amounts of time I spend there.
But the client knows you've given them that estimate, so they kind of know.
Well, they know
roughly
how much a concept will take to put together, essentially. And that's based on me asking a lot of questions.
Yes.
And obviously our own intuition, because we've all
Yes.
been doing it for a long time. We kind of know, you should be able to read your clients to a degree now and be able to say, okay, I know that it's going to take me 20 hours to put
Except
through
if
that
you go the
kitchen
wrong
concept.
way and you go over the Westgate Bridge.
Yes, well,
Let's not talk
let's
about
not
it.
go there. Let's not go there. Exactly. We don't want to go over the Westgate Bridge. But I think most clients, when you start talking to them, and you just tell them what you're going to charge for and what you're not going to charge for,
Perfect.
and this is a business at the end of the day. I've got a lot of friends that charge a design fee, which is great.
Yes.
And I think that's wonderful. It's just not the way I work. I think there's lots of different ways to work.
That's what we've tried to explain in previous podcasts.
Yeah.
That every designer
Works differently. There's no a format that everyone, which is a bit tricky. I mean, it would be handy if everyone did the same thing and everyone charged in a similar way, but it's
just
not the same, and everyone's different.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah, and I think that's what when you've got a client, your client needs to. They probably not only do they pick you or decide to go with you because there's a connection, but they have to also be appreciative. Like they have to be aware of the way you charge in comparison to other people.
Being upfront and honest
Correct.
from the beginning. Yeah.
Correct.
and building up that trust.
Oh, it's all about trust. You're in their homes.
Yeah.
You're in their most private, personal of spaces. Like I really don't take that for granted. I'm very respectful of that.
And tell me, have you got a lot of repeat clients?
All of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. I mean, and a lot of my work is referral.
Mm-hmm.
I don't advertise per se, but I don't think anyone really does. I have Instagram, which I use as a tool to publicise my work, but and I have a website, and that's really all that I've got. Yeah, so it's only word of mouth, and I'm very lucky to have clients that have referred me on to other people.
Fantastic. Do you have any designer secrets that you want to share?
Oh, I think we've all got designer secrets. Secret workrooms, secret people we use.
Oh, exactly.
Secret things like that. But I think we I don't think, you got to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't think there's so much about having secrets.
No.
Yeah. And it's a really nice community. Like I really love like all of my design buddies.
Yeah.
Caroline and I have just come back from 2 weeks in Milan.
Yes.
So,
I'm going to ask you about that.
so that was fun. That was lots of fun. And we met some wonderful people
Yeah,
from
we sure
interstate that we'd never met before. And that was awesome. It was so good. I mean, it's a really lovely industry to be part of.
And like we say often, there's room for us all.
100%.
And there are so many jobs out there. So no one's ever left without a job. So
No. Well, I think the industry's evolving too. Like there's a lot of up and coming designers and a lot of
Yes.
more established designers, and you kind of work out where you fit in the scheme of things, I think. And your clientele is different to my clientele. And my
Absolutely.
clientele is different to, someone else's. So I think if you make a connection with someone, I think they do tend to be loyal.
yeah.
If there was something you could change in the industry, what would it be?
Well, I suppose it would be handy if there was a bit more kind of consistency with how everyone charges. I suppose that would make it a little bit easier for everyone. But I don't know how you would do that. And also it's so different. Like all the states are different as well.
Yes.
Sydney's different to Melbourne,
Yeah.
Brisbane. Like everyone charges really quite differently. So I don't know if it would ever happen. I don't think it would. But I suppose that's the only thing that would be beneficial, I think, for other people as well if they had some sort of consistency
Yes.
with charging.
And tell me another thing. I mean, I've followed you forever, so I've seen all of your work. I feel like you and I have been in each other's paths for the
A long
whole
time.
Yeah.
Actually, you've known me since I started in the industry.
Correct. Yeah.
How old were you then?
21.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
So I've known you for a long time.
Very long time.
So tell me, what's been your career goal so far?
Well, I think starting my own business was definitely a highlight. It took me a little while to do it. I wasn't comfortable doing it straight out of school, and I wanted to have some experience under my belt before I did anything like that. So that's definitely been a highlight. I've been part of things like Como by Design. I think it was such an honour to be included and asked, and obviously you both were there, so it was
Yes.
nice to be included in things like that. I think it's just nice. Also, I think it was Caroline and I were both teaching at Mercer when it was Mercer, before it was Collards, and even that was a nice way to give back to the industry. And I think
Maybe just explain what Mercer and Collards.
yeah, so Mercer was a design school set up by Diane Bergeron, and it was very much based on decorating and design, and it's now been taken over by Collards. And is it Jenny Woods?
Yeah, Jenny Woods,
who's brilliant, is running it. Like she's so clever.
educator.
An educator, brilliant educator,
And
designer.
Is it
Yeah,
still
and a designer.
mainly about decorating? Or
No, it's much
all
more design.
Design.
Yeah,
right.
it's a really good, excellent course. But we were involved when it was under the guidance of Diane, and it was fun. Like it was wonderful. I learnt so much. I met so many amazing people that I may not have ever come across their paths, and I think you'd agree with me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like heaps of designers, so many friends, and just the skills you learn from being part of a college that are always looking for new and innovative things to do. I mean, I learnt so much. I was so
It was
grateful.
Almost like that was a bit of a change in the industry, I felt then, because I felt like there was, people becoming, like you said before, stylists, and people just doing only interiors and only interior decoration. And then we found there was a lot of people, coming to the course to do CAD. They wanted to do focus more on, drawings, architectural side of interior design. So it was almost like a change, and we felt there was, people who would teach a subject for soft furnishings, and then would be someone who's doing hard surfaces. So I felt like it was, people were then finding their way of, this is what I love.
Oh,
This is
absolutely.
what I want to be
thought
doing.
that was really wonderful about the course, that everyone got to try everything, and then they could decide if they wanted what path or what stream they wanted to go down. And I agree. I think there's so many courses now, and so many short courses that people do offer things like styling.
Yes.
That wasn't around when
No.
there was window dressing,
Exactly.
which was an amazing course. It was
Yeah.
phenomenal. RMIT had it. It was really incredible.
Yes.
But now there's so many styling courses, so many of these boutique design schools that you can go to.
And
there's
would you,
so much
when
on
you would,
offer.
for example, doing a job, and would you employ somebody to do just the styling part
100%.
of it? Okay.
100%. Yep. I use a stylist for photo shoots, obviously.
Okay.
I do every photo shoot with a stylist. In fact, I feel much more comfortable when they're there.
Yeah, right.
They just have a different eye. They can direct the camera. They know how to get the best out of a space, and they also will interject and bring in pieces that you may not necessarily have selected, just to elevate the space. And that's why I work with a designer. And I've got a friend of mine that's a designer that I consult on lots of things. And I'll say to her, will you, what do you think about this? Or would you, she helps me with my Instagram, for example. She's heavily involved in helping me with even putting out a colour board and helping me with
What's a
lots
colour
of things.
board?
A colour board. Oh, it's probably materials board now. I'm using old terminology. So even just laying out all samples to show your clients so that they get an overview of the look and feel you're trying to achieve for them. So she'll help me put put together a scheme.
So how many people actually work in your business?
There's myself, and I've got Nadia who does admin. And then I have Annalise who helps me with, she's a contractor, so helps me with my styling and helps me with things like that. And Laura who helps me as well. So, and then I've got Kate who does my drawing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's a few.
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing.
And they're not there all the time?
No, they're not there all the time.
Just when required?
Kate, yes, when required. Except for Nadia. Nadia's there all the time doing admin.
Of course.
Because it never ends.
Yeah.
A career highlight?
Definitely my Como by Design, I think. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
It was wonderful to be included. Like huge.
It was.
Huge. Yeah, and also the first time I suppose you get something published in a magazine, you don't it's an honour. It's so hard. You work so hard for it. It's hard to get things. I mean, a lot of people don't find it hard. They get lots of stuff published all the time. But I think the first time that happens can be, it's quite it's rewarding. It's exciting, and you feel like
achievement.
it's an achievement. Yeah.
It's like
So
going
that's
up and
nice.
getting your logie.
Yeah, just like it. Totally.
I've got some myths to discuss.
Okay, go for it.
I can get the same level of service and advice at a furniture store for free.
Go for it.
Oh, I wasn't expecting that.
Well, I don't. They're not my type of clients.
Right.
If someone wants to go to a furniture shop and get free advice, they're not the type of people that I want to work for.
Okay.
And I wouldn't then try to sell myself or justify myself or my fees to someone like that because I don't want their work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good.
Because I think you're always up against a brick wall.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but also the furniture store, even if they've got everything there, they're selling you their product.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's right.
They've got an ulterior motive too. They're not selling you the best product. They're selling you their product. Yeah. Whereas we are selling the client the best product for their solution or for what they want.
Mm-hmm. Well said.
Mm-hmm.
Another one all designers do is put together pretty little things.
Definitely not. Disagree with that one strongly.
Yes.
Obviously everything we do has an aesthetic appeal to it, and we do put together things that are visually pleasing. But it takes a lot of hard work to get to implement those things. And like I'm sure with your jobs as well, sometimes you don't have clients that want to do everything in one hit. So you're doing it in stages. So that vision, which is this grand vision that you are basically proposing to your clients, it might take a little while for them to get to the finished product. But I think you need to just keep chipping away at it. And yes, we do put together pretty things, but it has there's an outcome. You're putting together those things to create a vision.
It's a skill.
100%.
And so many times we've talked about this, and I've talked about it with you as well, Chrissy. We hear people saying, "Oh, that's easy. I could do that."
Absolutely. I think that's the thing too. We love what we do. We're very fortunate we work in jobs and careers and an industry that we actually love.
I agree.
So for some people, they don't value our knowledge, our skill, but we have worked.
Or they don't understand it.
Or they don't. But everyone's got people that have come to them and said, "Oh, can you just help me with my cushions, or can you just find this?" But we might be able to find a cushion on the spot for one scenario. Who knows? Or be able to advise people where to look. But it takes a long time. We have done all the legwork. We've found lots of supplies. We have researched. We've done all of that. That's why we can do it in a faster manner than say the average person.
Yeah, or find a unique product that
they can't.
Just the everyday person can't.
Exactly. We have access to all that, but we work hard to do it. We go to trade fairs. We read magazines. We're on Pinterest and Instagram and the webs, on various websites. We are searching.
And if that pretty little thing isn't available, then we've got to find another pretty little thing.
Correct.
And nowadays it's so different because everything is electronic, and so
100%.
we can do things.
And how
electronically.
lucky that we can sit at home and trail through the internet, and whether it's looking at Gumtree to find something, whatever that you want to restore, or or sourcing a brand new antique from First Dibs. Like, you've got a huge shopping centre basically at your fingertip.
But remember the good old days when
you had to physically go and look at everyone. You had to know who stocked everything.
Exactly.
And but also,
we
you
still do
need
that.
to know that.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be doing your job properly if you couldn't say, all right, I know that fabrics house, for example, stocks those ranges and they will work for this client. You know, you can't just go to two people. You
Without
need
a
to
doubt.
know
You
everyone.
also want to build up a relationship with the supplier.
Absolutely.
So you've got to go and meet and greet and
Yes. Yeah. But you should
go to their open days.
as a designer, you should know what more you're always going to have your core that you probably might get into every job or every so many jobs, but you need to know what everyone has, because that one supplier isn't going to have everything for you.
No,
You can't buy everything from them.
no.
And you
It's so
shouldn't,
true.
but you also shouldn't, because then why is someone coming to you for a unique design if your design looks the same as what they gave
That's
their friend?
right. It's
You
so
know,
true.
You will cross over. You've got clients that are friends with other clients.
Absolutely.
I would hate for one of my clients to walk into one of my other clients' houses and say, "Oh, you've used Melissa. I have exactly that same chair
Exactly.
or fabric."
I thought
or,
I was getting that, just me.
yeah, well, but technically, I feel that's what they're paying for. You know, they're paying for exclusivity. They're paying for a design that is just theirs.
And also budget. A lot of that is budget driven.
100%.
Yeah.
And you have budgets that you do probably need to look at repurposing items and reupholstering and which I actually think is a great idea. You know, I don't like throwing things out. I think we have a very unfortunately, I think there's a lot of crap in the Australian market, and especially Caroline and I have just come back from Milan. Everything was Italian, everything was European. Like it was beautiful,
Next
and beautifully
level.
made. There wasn't the disposable stuff that there is here,
It's
which is
gonna
a shame.
wind up at the tip in 2 years or in
Exactly,
the ocean,
in
unfortunately.
landfill,
Yeah.
and that's terrible.
Yeah.
You know, if you've got a chair from grandma, all right, you might not like it, but we can recover it. We can give it a new lease in life.
Absolutely.
You can't do it for everything, but if you can, I think that's a nice thing to be able to do. Yeah, that's why you got to know everyone.
Is your house full of beautiful things?
It's full of some beauty. Are we ever?
It is.
As designers, are we ever like totally 100% happy? We're always seeing new things. We're always thinking, oh, we could do this, or we should change that, or oh, I've had that there for a few years now. Do we just change it? But I think I love my house, but it could definitely be improved upon.
Well, you've got to have time and a big budget.
100%.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like
In your
we
own
always
house.
say,
Yeah.
exactly. We always say that. We've got a budget too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, yeah, there's some things we probably specify for clients that we may not ever consider putting in our own homes. Yeah.
I
Just because
agree.
they're way out of our budget.
I agree.
Yeah.
Caroline actually did a little podcast on the Milan trip.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Do you want to talk about it
Yeah, sure.
briefly for a
Yeah.
minute?
It was awesome. We had the best. We really had the best time.
We really did.
Yeah.
So what was your highlight?
Traveling with Kaza.
Oh, dear.
No, it was fun. I think we saw so much. It was so inspiring, but it was also, for me, Australia is such a tiny little market in this big world. They have so many suppliers, so much product. The entire world descends upon Milan. I think I read somewhere there was 500,000 people at the fair that went to Salone di Mobile. Like it was, and you hear about this from because we went to lots of talks
Yes.
in the years past, because this was our first time at Milan, and you hear about so many people and so many this, and until you're there, you don't realize just how many people there are there. There's mind-blowingly amount of people.
Mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Favourite exhibitor?
Oh, there's too many.
I know.
There's got to be one.
Oh, I loved Ladro.
You did, didn't you?
Loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Tell
It was
us
just
about that.
different. It was the lighting. Well, and we found it by chance because Caroline said, I've got to go there. We've got to go there. And I thought, oh, here we go. Well,
Because she's lighting obsessed.
yes, because we've already been to, Tom Dixon and
Oh,
Artemis and all
not
these
again.
other cool ones, like super cool, beautiful ones, which I loved. But that was my favourite. Ladro was absolutely my favourite. It was so beautiful. But that's just one. The whole fair, like there was every day, I think we saw something that was incredible. I'd have to look back at my photos and remember because some of the names we don't even have here.
Yeah.
And sometimes it wasn't even necessarily the product. It was just the stands. The stands were just so incredible.
Yeah.
They spent so
Next
much
level.
money. They were like room sets. They were
Stage.
amazing.
Stage
amazing.
sets, weren't they?
Yeah. And we probably saw 1/8.
Yeah.
It was gigantic. And I think
Well, in between the eating and the drinking and the parties.
Exactly.
Oh, hi, Tom. Yeah, hi.
We didn't do a lot of that.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't do a lot of sleeping. That
We
was
didn't
one
do a
thing.
lot of sleeping,
We
though.
didn't do a lot of.
But I think also there's all the different districts too. So
Yes.
it would have been nice to have probably seen more things at the.
Yeah.
But I suppose you can't do
You
it
just
all.
can't do it all.
No.
Yeah, you
And
can't.
we were, from morning, noon and night, and we still couldn't do it all.
No,
Yeah.
no, it was awesome.
It
We had a
was
good
awesome.
group. We had fun,
We did.
Yeah.
We were very lucky.
and we made some nice friends.
It's so true. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me, girls.
We
This was
can't-
lots of fun.
Yeah,
Despite
you're
my nerves.
amazing, and I love watching your journey, and I'm so
Thank
pleased
you.
that we've been able to do it together.
Thank you.
But yeah, you're very special, and your work and what you do every day, it's inspiring, and yeah, you're a very gifted and talented.
And you're such a nice
designer.
person.
Oh, well, thank you.
top it off.
Well, it's much easier when I have friends like you too.
Oh.
It makes everything easier.
Well, thank you.
Thanks
you.
so much.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed today's show. If you'd like to get in touch, email us on thedesignduet@gmail.com or DM us on our Instagram page, The Design Duet.